Welcome to Sisterhood Built This Village. Solidarity broke the silence. A serialized fiction set in Eldreda Colonia. I'm Alice, the author and your narrator. In this story, building a village means making intentional friendships that hold. Last time, Rory climbed the staircase and found her invitation waiting in a room of women who practiced presence over performance. Tonight, she learns that boundaries aren't walls. They're the architecture that keeps love from collapsing under its own weight. This is episode 3, The Guardrails. The second Thursday arrives with the particular weight of a promise you're not sure you can keep. Rory stands at her kitchen counter, stirring honey into tea that doesn't need sweetening, watching the spiral dissolve like courage she's trying to manufacture. Her phone buzzes against the granite. The Kaidari group chat has been gentle all week. No pressure, just presence. A photo of the bowl from a different angle. A reminder that tonight they'll practice something called guardrails. An emoji from someone named Lydia. A small house with a heart for a door. She almost stayed home. The excuse was ready. A headache that felt real enough. A deadline that could be urgent if she squinted. But at 6:47, she found herself reaching for the jacket the color of wet stone, the one that doesn't try too hard to be noticed. The staircase to Miro's Café remembers her footsteps. The second to last step creaks its familiar hinge sound, and she pauses there, not from fear this time, but from something that feels like recognition. Through the thin door, she hears the facilitator's voice, steady as a heartbeat.
We build with honesty. We guard with confidentiality. We become by practice.
Rory pushes the door open during the small silence that follows ritual.
Rory, tea first or chair first?
Chair first. I think I'm ready to sit closer to the middle.
The room exhales a small sound of approval, not applause, recognition. The nurse who speaks in vital signs nods like someone has just taken their own pulse and found it steady. The baker touches the bowl like greeting an old friend. Rory chooses a chair in the second ring, close enough to see everyone's faces, far enough to breathe. The woman who always sits by the door, she learned last week her name is Iris, gives her a small thumbs up. The door stays cracked, but tonight it feels like invitation rather than escape route.
Tonight we practice guardrails. It sounds rigid, doesn't it? Like something that keeps you from falling off a mountain road. But boundaries aren't fences to keep love out. They're the edges that keep the shape of what matters.
She turns to the whiteboard and writes in that careful green marker, pressing just hard enough to make the stems thick with intention.
Guardrails. We build with honesty. We guard with confidentiality. We become by practice. Some of you have been in rooms where sharing meant surrendering your privacy to prove your commitment. Some of you have been in circles where no boundaries meant no safety. We do it differently here.
Rory thinks of the last group she tried, a networking circle where vulnerability was performed like a talent show, where her story became someone else's cautionary tale over coffee she wasn't invited to share.
Tonight's practice, the graceful no. We will offer each other small requests. You will practice saying no without apology, without explanation, without making it mean you don't care. And we will practice receiving no without disappointment disguised as understanding.
A ripple of nervous laughter moves through the circle. The baker raises her hand.
What if we want to say yes to everything? What if no feels selfish?
Then you practice no like medicine. Small doses until your system remembers it won't kill you.
Rory's chest tightens. She has said yes to things that hollowed her out. Yes to requests that came with invisible strings. Yes when her body was already shouting the opposite. She writes in her notebook, no as medicine.
We'll start simple. I'm going to ask each of you for something small. Your job is to check in with your body, with your capacity, with your honest answer. Then say it clean.
She turns to Iris by the door.
Iris, would you be willing to close the door completely for tonight's practice?
Iris pauses. Her hand moves instinctively toward the doorframe, fingers tracing the thin line of light from the hallway.
No. I need to see the way out to feel safe staying.
Thank you. Clean and clear.
No one rushes to fix it. No one explains why Iris might need the door open or suggests she's being dramatic. The room simply adjusts, the way water moves around a stone.
Meredith, would you share the recipe for those scones you brought last week?
Yes, but not tonight. I'm tired and want to just receive instead of give.
Beautiful. A yes with a boundary.
Rory watches how the room holds both answers, the no and the conditional yes, without making either wrong. Her notebook fills with small observations. Room doesn't flinch. No one explains. Clean answers land soft. The facilitator moves around the circle. Small requests, honest answers. Would you help move chairs? Would you share your phone number? Would you lead next week's opening? Each person practices the pause, the internal check, the clean delivery. When it's Rory's turn, her pulse quickens like a small bird against glass.
Rory, would you be willing to sing something for us tonight? Just a verse, something simple.
The request lands in her chest like a stone in still water. Every ripple says yes, the part that wants to be useful, the part that equates performance with belonging, the part that believes her voice is the only gift she has worth giving. But underneath the ripples, something steadier speaks.
No, not tonight. I'm still learning how to be here without performing.
The words surprise her with their completeness. No apology trailing behind them like a leash, no explanation that makes the no smaller.
Thank you. That was honest and kind.
The practice continues, but something has shifted in Rory's chest. The no didn't end anything. It didn't make her smaller or less welcome. It made space for what she actually needed, for who she actually was in this moment.
Now we practice receiving no. I want you to pair up and make requests of each other, small ones. And when you hear no, practice saying thank you and meaning it.
Rory finds herself paired with a woman named Carmen, who has laugh lines that suggest she's had practice finding joy in difficult places.
Would you like to get coffee after this meeting?
Rory checks in. Her body says tired. Her schedule says full. Her heart says not yet.
No, but thank you for asking.
Thank you for being honest.
No disappointment, no hidden irritation, just gratitude for the truth.
They switch roles.
Carmen, would you be willing to read a poem next week?
Yes, I'd love to. I've been carrying one around for months looking for the right room.
Thank you.
Such a small exchange, but Rory feels something unlock in her chest. She can ask. She can be told no. She can say no. She can be thanked for her honesty instead of punished for her boundaries. The facilitator calls them back to the circle.
How was that? What did you notice?
No one died when I said no.
Gentle laughter ripples through the room.
I realized I've been saying yes to things I don't even want because I was afraid people would stop asking.
I noticed I felt more generous when I knew I could say no. Like yes meant something when it was a choice.
Rory raises her hand, a small gesture that feels enormous.
I noticed that when I said no clearly, it felt like I was taking care of the relationship instead of hurting it.
Yes. Boundaries are how we love sustainably. They're not walls, they're the architecture that keeps care from collapsing under its own weight.
She writes on the board, boundaries equals sustainable love.
One more practice. We're going to do what we call the boundary blessing. Everyone think of one boundary you need to set in your life outside this room. Don't share it. Just hold it in your mind.
Rory thinks immediately of the producer who keeps calling with opportunities that pay in exposure and take in hours, the friend who vents for 30 minutes without asking if it's a good time, the voice in her head that says she should be grateful for any attention, even attention that leaves her feeling hollow.
Now, place your hand on your heart. Feel it beating. That heartbeat is not negotiable. Your body knows how to protect what keeps you alive. Your boundaries are the same. Not selfish, necessary. Repeat after me. My no protects my yes.
Group in soft unison. My no protects my yes.
My boundaries make room for love.
Group. My boundaries make room for love.
I can be kind and have limits.
Group. I can be kind and have limits. Rory feels the words settle in her chest like seeds in prepared soil, not empty affirmations, but tools she can pick up and use. The facilitator passes around the Kaidari notebook. Tonight's prompt: one boundary you're ready to practice.
I can say, let me check my calendar, instead of automatic yes.
Simple, specific, doable.
As the meeting winds down, Iris approaches her.
Thank you for saying no to singing. It helped me remember I don't have to perform my healing for other people.
Thank you for keeping the door open. It helped me remember I can stay and still have choices.
Walking home, Rory feels different in her skin. Not transformed, she's suspicious of transformation that happens too quickly, but more present, more solid, like she's taken up the exact amount of space she needs instead of apologizing for existing or expanding to fill every gap. Her phone buzzes. A text from the producer. Text message: quick call tonight, new opportunity. Her old self would have called back immediately, would have said yes before hearing the details, would have hung up committed to something that served everyone but her. Her new self, or maybe just her honest self, types back,
Let me check my calendar and get back to you tomorrow.
She doesn't add sorry, she doesn't explain why she needs time, she just sends it. At home she makes tea without honey. She doesn't need the sweetness tonight, the boundary was sweet enough. She opens her notebook and writes,
Guardrails don't keep you from falling. They show you where the road is.
Outside her window, Eldrida settles into its evening rhythm, lights in windows like small promises, the sound of someone practicing violin, stopping and starting, not giving up. A dog barks once and decides against a sequel. Rory thinks about next Thursday. She'll climb the staircase again, past the second to last step that creaks like a hinge. She'll choose her chair and mean it. She'll practice the 3 verbs, build, guard, become, until they feel as natural as breathing. But tonight, she practices the simplest boundary of all. She goes to bed when she's tired, not when she thinks she should be tired. She says no to the voice that wants to plan next week's perfect sentences. She says yes to rest. In the darkness, she hears her heartbeat. Not negotiable, not apologetic, just steady, the rhythm that keeps everything else alive. Tomorrow, she'll practice saying, let me check my calendar. Tomorrow, she'll notice how much more generous her yes becomes when her no has room to breathe. But that is tomorrow's practice. Tonight, she sleeps in the exact center of her bed, taking up all the space she needs. Host reflection and close, host/narrator. Guardrails sound like restriction, but they're actually architecture, the framework that keeps love from collapsing under its own weight. Tonight we watched Rory learn that no is not the opposite of generosity. It's what makes generosity possible. When we say no clearly, we protect our yes. When we receive no gracefully, we create safety for truth. The 3 verbs of Kaidari work together. We build with honesty, we guard with boundaries, we become through practice. Next time, Rory meets her first official village role, the teacher who will show her that mentorship is not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions. Episode 4 is the Teacher's Table. Subscribe so you don't miss it, and this week, practice one graceful no. Notice how it makes room for a more generous yes.